At 82, I've gained a wealth of life experience, but there's one choice I truly regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the best decision. My family reassured me that I'd receive all the care and comfort I needed. I trusted them. But once I arrived, I quickly realized that reality was far different from what I had expected. I know some of you might be considering this option, either for yourself or a loved one. Maybe it seems like the safest route, or perhaps you've been told it will make things easier. But before you make that move, I want to share 6 things I wish I had known beforehand. Because the truth is, living in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything. And once you're in, leaving isn't as simple as it might seem. Stay with me until the end, because some of these insights may surprise you. And if you know someone who's thinking about entering a nursing home, this video could be exactly what they need to hear before making such a life-altering choice. Now, let's begin. Number 1. One of my biggest regrets is losing my independence. The biggest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the scheduled meals, or even the unfamiliar faces. It was realizing that I no longer had control over my own life. Before I moved in, I had my own routines. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I wanted, cook my own meals, or simply relax in my favorite chair with a book. But once I was in the nursing home, I quickly understood that my time was no longer mine. Everything followed a strict schedule that I had no say in. Breakfast was served at a set time, whether I was hungry or not. Lights went out at a designated hour, even if I wasn't ready for bed. If I wanted to go outside, I needed permission, and often had to wait until someone was available to assist me. Even simple choices, like what to eat or what to wear, started feeling more like privileges than basic freedoms. I still remember my first week there, waking up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I sat up, stretched, and reached for the book I had been reading at home. But as I looked around the room, it hit me. This wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, and the little comforts I had spent years collecting were all gone. In their place were plain walls, a bed I hadn't chosen, and a feeling I couldn't shake. I was no longer in control of my own life. The hardest part was realizing that once you give up your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. You adjust because you have no choice. You stop protesting when they decide what's for dinner. You stop asking if you can take a walk whenever you feel like it. You learn to follow their routine, but in doing so, you slowly start losing yourself. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that make life your own? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever imagined. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the hardest realities of moving into a nursing home is realizing that life outside continues without you. When I first arrived, my family assured me they would visit often. I believed them, and at first they did. My daughter stopped by once a week. My grandchildren visited on weekends, and for a little while, I still felt connected to my old life. But as the months passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My grandchildren got busy with school and work. The holidays were the toughest. Everyone promised to visit, but somehow, plans always changed at the last minute, and suddenly I found myself sitting alone in a common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life simply moved on. When you're not part of their daily routine, it's easy for people to assume you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you stay in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget just how much you still need them. I remember one evening sitting in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never happen. So I put the phone down. And that's when it truly sank in. This was my reality now. Watching the days pass, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're considering moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to be out of mind. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now let's continue. Number 3, regret 3, losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities, routines, hobbies, things that gave me a reason to wake up each day. Even the small tasks, like watering my plants, making my morning coffee, or tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. My meals were prepared for me. The cleaning was done by someone else, and the plants, well, they weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally relax. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just rest. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt endless, stretched out with nothing to do but wait. And I saw it in others too. Residents who had once been full of life, now just sitting, staring, waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84 years old, who had spent his life as a carpenter. Back home, he was always fixing things, working on small projects in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew, his once strong, capable hands now resting idly in his lap. "I feel useless," he admitted to me one day, and I knew exactly how he felt. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life starts to lose its meaning. The mind slows, the body weakens, and before long, you feel like just another resident in a place where time passes, but nothing really changes. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you're there, finding purpose isn't just about keeping busy. It's about holding on to the things that make you feel truly alive. Number 4, regret 4, declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was in pretty good shape for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could take care of myself, go for walks, and cook my own meals. I had my little routines that kept me active. Grocery shopping, stretching in the mornings, and simply walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it felt like I was just taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, so I no longer had to stand in the kitchen. If I needed something, I just pressed a button, and someone would come to help. What I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I wasn't moving as much, and soon my legs felt stiffer. I sat more than before, and before I knew it, even getting up from a chair felt like a challenge. The muscles I had worked so hard to maintain were disappearing faster than I ever imagined. And it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others too. People who walked in on their own 2 feet were suddenly in wheelchairs. Those who had been independent now needed help with things they never struggled with before. The more assistance we received, the more dependent we became. I remember my neighbor Alice, an 81-year-old woman who was full of energy when she first arrived. She took daily walks around the facility, proudly insisting that she wouldn't slow down just because of her age. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as much. Then she started using a walker. Before long, she was in a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I've aged 10 years in just a few months." And that's exactly how it felt. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. In a nursing home, where everything is designed for convenience, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about getting around. It's about staying alive. If I had known how quickly I would lose my strength, I would have fought harder to stay active, to keep moving, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the drive to keep your body strong when everything around you makes life effortless? Because once you slow down, getting back up is harder than you think. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's continue. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. One thing I didn't fully think about before moving into a nursing home was just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit in silence when I wanted, and do things on my own terms. But in a nursing home, privacy isn't something you can always count on. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was always being watched. Staff coming in and out, scheduled room checks, and shared spaces where being alone was rare. Even basic things like getting dressed or using the bathroom often required assistance. I know the staff was just doing their job, but it's not easy to accept help for things you've done independently your entire life. I remember my first week struggling with the idea that I had to ask for permission to do things I once did without a second thought. Want to take a shower? You might have to wait until someone is available. Need to use the restroom? Sometimes pressing the call button means waiting longer than you'd like. Even meal choices were limited. If you didn't like what was on the menu that day, well, too bad. And then there was the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be frustrating in ways you never expected. I was fortunate to have a kind roommate, but I heard stories from others who weren't so lucky. Some had roommates who were noisy, untidy, or struggling with cognitive issues that made it nearly impossible to get a good night's sleep. And no matter how much you try to make your room feel like home, it never truly feels like yours. Dignity is a difficult thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I'd have to give up until I was already here. When people knock but don't always wait before entering, when you're spoken to like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are dictated by a schedule you had no say in, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and control you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, getting it back isn't easy. Number 6. Regret 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was just temporary. I thought I'd give it a try, see how it went, and if I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't expect was just how difficult it would be to get out once I was in. At first, it seemed simple. If I wasn't happy, I'd just go back home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house sat empty, and keeping up with it from a distance became a challenge. My children had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, even talking about renting out the place. When I mentioned the idea of returning, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was the physical decline. After months in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean, or even move much, I wasn't as strong as before. The independence I once took for granted had slowly faded, making the thought of going back home more daunting than I ever imagined. I wasn't as sure of myself anymore, and that doubt kept me from leaving. I met others who went through the same thing. They thought they'd try the nursing home for a short time, only to realize that getting out wasn't as easy as they had hoped. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some people even lost the choice entirely. Once their home was sold or their savings were drained by the high cost of care, there was no going back. That's the part no one warns you about. Moving in feels like a decision you can undo, but for most, it isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your entire world, and before you realize it, the life you once knew starts to feel like a distant memory. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready for the possibility that once you enter, leaving might not be as easy as you expect? Because once you've settled in, the obstacles, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be much harder to overcome than you ever imagined. If you're still watching this video and find these insights helpful, comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Final reflections. Looking back, I don't regret aging, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only choice. I walked in expecting comfort, security, and an improved quality of life. Instead, I found a world that gradually stripped away my independence, my privacy, my sense of purpose, and even my identity. Does this mean all nursing homes are bad? Not necessarily. Some people truly need the level of care they offer. But before making that choice, think carefully about what you'll be giving up. Because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I had the chance to do it again, I would have done everything possible to stay in my own home, looked for alternative ways to receive support without sacrificing my freedom, and made absolutely sure that moving was the right decision before taking such a life-changing step. And if you're facing this choice, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me? Or is it simply the easiest option right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your ability to choose, is worth holding on to for as long as you possibly can. Thank you for being with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share something you learned and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights matter to us, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts. Reading your comments gives us inspiration and motivation to keep going. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support allows us to keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.